How's it going, Laser Bruises up? I'm Sixkilla and welcome back to Quantum Suicide. We just learned in our first episode, our first half hour in, what the killing game in this game is and why it exists and how we interact with it and all of that and how we're a part of it. And we got our number, so now we're just going to have to interact with the crew and try and make 10, I guess. So let's get into that, shall we?
This is Sora Carmine, the Everett's navigation officer.
We're still meeting people on the Everett. I assume there's quite a few here. It would take probably a few people to pilot a large spaceship? I don't know.
Hello, it's lovely to meet you. Oh, aren't you the spitting image of your father?
Am I? Thank you.
Sora is going to escort you to lunch.
Yes, lunch.
If you don't mind, that is. It's so nice to have a new crew member on board, and we'd love to get to know you a bit better. You're all my daughter Melody's been chatting about for the last few days.
I'd love to come. I haven't had much of an opportunity to meet the other crew members yet.
Well, I've got my own duties to attend to, so I'll leave you in Sora's capable hands.
The navigation officer gave the captain a cheery wave and made me follow her down the hallway.
I was sorry to hear about the loss of your parents. They were remarkable people. Even though they were cooped up in their research lab most of the time, whenever they did come out to join the rest of the crew, they were terrific fun.
We didn't know they were dead. They asked us about them before, but we didn't know. That's nice to hear. They used to tell me all kinds of stories about the Everett's crew members.
Nothing too saucy, I hope.
The worst story I can remember is about one Russian crew member sneaking into the kitchen and stealing potatoes so he could make his own vodka.
That was Vladimir. He was quite the scoundrel back in the day. Sometimes I'm surprised they let him join the crew at all, to be honest. Here we are.
After walking down what seemed like an endless hallway, we arrived at a closed door that looked virtually identical to all the others. The words Eco Lounge were printed beside the door. As the door slid open, I discovered that I couldn't have been more wrong. I was rendered absolutely speechless by the lush garden that spread out before me. I heard the rustling of grass under my feet as I entered. The sweet honeyed scent of flowers pervaded the air. It was the most greenery I'd seen in one place, and it was beautiful.
Welcome to the Eco Lounge. Sorry to have kept you waiting.
Mommy's here!
A little girl with a shock of pink hair and a cerise dress barreled towards us, her face lighting up with a bright smile at her mother's return.
What took you so long?
We have a guest joining us on our picnic today. Allow me to introduce you.
A man clad in a lab coat with silver-streaked hair, bushy eyebrows, and a gentle smile stood up from a picnic blanket as we approached. He took a few steps forward to meet us and offered me his hand. We exchanged a firm handshake. It's nice to finally meet you.
This is my husband, Vladimir Stanislavski.
Ah,
And
Vladimir's
this
your
is our
husband.
daughter, Melody.
Hello, Melody. I crouched down beside her so we could see eye to eye. She kept a tight hand on her mother's skirt, but she didn't shy away from me.
I'm 5 years old. My favorite food is carrots. Nice to meet you.
I like your reptile. Pleased to meet you too, Melody.
That was a very good introduction, sweetie.
Melody grinned at me, proud of her mother's compliment, then raced back to sit down on the picnic blanket.
Sit, drink, smile.
Vladimir poured me a glass of lemonade and pressed it into my hands. Sora patted the space next to her with her hand.
Come and enjoy the picnic.
I sat down next to her.
Here, have a sandwich.
Thank you. I didn't realize how hungry I was until I bit the roast beef and salad sandwich. Steak sauce dripped out of my sandwich and slid down my chin in thick streaks. I reached out with my napkin to wipe them off as best I could. The food distracted me for a moment, but I quickly became conscious of the fact that this was an opportune time to finally get some of my questions answered. Time was ticking away and I only had a few days left to partner up with someone to make 10, or I'd be royally screwed. So, do you guys need a partner for the Deletion Game? I'm still new to all this and I'd appreciate any help I can get.
I don't mean to be rude, but we're here to enjoy our day together and not to burden Melody with such thoughts. Please, keep speaking about that to a minimum.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to touch on a sore subject.
Don't worry about it. You didn't know.
I awkwardly returned to my sandwich. Melody seemed oblivious to what had just transpired, and decided that it was the perfect time to introduce me to her plush dinosaurs.
This is Fred, and this is George.
Those are the names I would give them too. Excellent. She enthusiastically held up a green Tyrannosaurus and a purple Stegosaurus.
Here, you can play with George.
Accepting the plush Stegosaurus, I immediately went into character. Roar, we dinosaurs shall rule over this land. It shall be named Garden Land.
That's a silly Let's call it something else.
Georgeland. Ah, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
I know what we should do. We should climb trees instead.
Really? I finally get the chance to play with dinosaurs on a spaceship and she already wants to play something else?
What?
Nothing, alright. We're off to go climb some trees like the monkeys that we are. Ready?
Ready.
Melody, be careful up there, sweetie. And try not to damage the trees. You don't want to ruin all of Katashi's hard work.
Yes, Mom.
I turned around as Melody scampered off away from me. I gave chase and we were suddenly ducking and weaving through a small cluster of trees at the edge of the room. We spent the rest of the afternoon playing various games as their parents looked on from their picnic blanket.
Okay, Melody, last game. Everyone is getting tired, and we need to get cleaned up for dinner soon.
Okay. Can we play one game of hide and seek?
Sure, you go hide and I'll count to 100.
Make sure you shut your eyes. Mom, make sure they shut their eyes.
I will. Now off you pop.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey.
Yes?
Listen. You seem like a good kid and we'd like to help you out if we can. If you tell us your number, we'll let you know if we can team up with you. If we can't make 10, then no harm done and we promise not to tell a soul what your number is. Sounds fair?
Okay. You promised not to tell anyone else, right?
Of course.
My number is 5.
Ah, I see.
I'm always overly trusting on the first run anyway, so we'll just see what happens.
We can't help you out, I'm afraid.
That's too bad. Thanks for asking in any case. Well, I better go find Melody. Ready or not, here I come. Sora gave me a warm smile. As soon as I turned around, I noticed 2 pink pigtails sticking out of a nearby flower bush. It seemed that Melody had forgotten to take her hair into account while hiding. I feigned ignorance and searched for a few minutes just to make her happy. Where's Melody gone? I can't find her anywhere. Melody! Melody, where are you? The mulberry bush giggled as I walked by it. Found you. I gave Melody a soft pat on the head and she squealed and ran back to her parents. I didn't know it was possible for someone to have that much energy. I trudged back to the picnic spot, trailing far behind her. She'd really worn me out. Vladimir and Sora had already packed everything up, the picnic blanket thrown unceremoniously over Vladimir's sturdy shoulders.
All right, Melody. That's all for today. Time to go home.
We want to keep playing.
Listen to your mother, dear. She said we're going, so we're going.
She huffed, sulking in response to her mother's decree.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us today. It means a lot to us.
Sora pulled me into an unexpected bear hug. It was surprising but welcome. She squeezed me tightly before pulling away. Her hands were planted firmly on my shoulders as she looked me right in the eye.
If there's anything we can do for you, let us know. You're part of the Everett's crew now, and that means your family. Stories about your parents, or spend some time with Melody. Our door is always open to you. You got that?
Got it. Well, I better go clean up before dinner. She tapped my shoulders twice encouragingly and then released me.
If you go out this door and turn right, you'll see a doorway covered with some cloth. Those are the baths. If you ever get lost, just call I and she'll sort you out.
Thanks. Although spending the day playing with Melody had been quite soothing, I couldn't help but wonder if I should have spent the time more productively. If I couldn't find people to ally with soon, then I was sure to end up on the chopping block. This was the kind of game that required you to rely on other people to win, unless you were lucky enough to get the 10 card from the start, that is. But all I had was a measly 5. I needed others to make it work, but how? I was the outsider. Would anyone place their trust in a complete stranger? When I entered the bathroom, it appeared to be empty.
Hello, sailor.
Oh, Beatrix again. A voice whispered in my ear from behind. I jumped forward, startled, and had to steady myself on a nearby wall. Beatrix, you scared me half to death. I didn't hear you come in.
Truth be told, I followed you in. I guess that makes me a stalker. Do you like that?
Not really. I'm not sure how to respond to that.
You can make up your mind later. In any case, after you finish here, would you be a dear and come to the medical bay? I would love to spend some quality time with you.
He seems dodgy. She emphasized the last sentence by dragging her eyes languidly over my body. What about dinner? We don't have much time before it starts.
Don't worry, I'll take care of you. This isn't a meeting you want to miss.
Alright, let me clean up and I'll be right there.
I'll be waiting for you.
Beatrix's curious request to me swirled through my head as I lathered the shampoo into my hair, still grimy with sweat from today's exertions. I decided to go see what she wanted and wrapped up my shower as quickly as possible. I tailed myself off, dressed, and found my way to the medical bay with Aya's help.
Good afternoon. It's good to see you up and about.
It's nice to finally be able to stretch my legs, not to mention leave my sleeping quarters.
I imagine it would be.
I'm supposed to be meeting Beatrix here. Is she around?
Enough chit-chat, Nicholas.
Apparently so.
I spun around, realizing that Beatrix had been here the whole time, concealed by medical equipment from her vantage point in the corner of the room.
I asked you to come here for a reason.
I assumed there was a reason for it. And what reason would that be?
We'd like you to share information with us about the Deletion Game, if you're willing.
In this game, information is power. So we're going to offer you a deal. 2 for 1. We tell you our numbers if you tell us yours. It's a simple information swap, but you must be honest.
Why me?
We feel a certain duty of care. You were unconscious most of the time, but Beatrix and I didn't leave your side for 4 whole days. By the end of your stay, we felt close to you.
On my first runs in these games, I'm always overly trusting and overly honest, but we turn into the bastards at the end when we have to do the other options. Regardless of whether the twins were being honest about their reasons for helping me, the fact was I had to start trusting someone at some point. Lying or refusing to give information would only result in missing out on allying myself with the people I needed to. There was no other choice. It was do or die time. Okay, an information swap then.
After you.
Oh no, it's too easy for you to go back on your word. You first, I'll go next, then Nicholas can go last. How's that?
Very well. My number is 2.
I've got a 5.
That's wonderful. I have a 3. If we combine all of our numbers, we make 10 and are safe.
What do you think? Will you team up with us?
Sure.
Excellent.
Why not?
In 2 days, we will all combine our numbers.
I don't care who I combine
In
with.
the meantime, to not divulge your number to any other crew member under any circumstances.
In any case, I believe that Beatrix promised you dinner. So now that we've finished our business, let's move on to something more enjoyable.
There you go, we're safe for the round. That was easy. Nicholas brought out a plate of roast beef and vegetables laced with gravy. Roast beef? I had some for lunch today. Not that I mind.
Our chef is a stickler to keeping to our allotted rations. Any meat he cooks is eaten at every meal except for breakfast until it's gone so that it stays fresh.
Logically, it makes sense. But one can't help but lament on their palate's behalf every now and then.
The three of us shared a comfortable meal. It was shamelessly flirted at by both twins, and occasionally I flirted back. The time flew by, and before I knew it, I found myself yawning into my hand.
Bedtime, I think.
Is this going to turn into a weird threesome with a brother and sister twin?
If your quarters are too far away, you can
'Cause
always
it's gonna
share
be
mine,
weird.
you know.
It's going to be awkward later on. I think I'll manage, thanks. Exhausted from the past day's activities, I shuffled down the hall to my room and rolled into bed. The tension I felt earlier had somehow dissipated, replaced with a serene, calm feeling. Before too long, I fell asleep. I awoke multiple times throughout the night. Some part of me still couldn't believe that this was actually happening. I couldn't really be fighting for my life, could I? It all seemed so surreal, like part of someone else's vivid nightmare. I was staring up at the ceiling, contemplating my situation when I heard the door to my quarters open. Startled, I immediately sat up.
It's only me. I'm sorry if I startled you.
I squinted through the dim light. It was difficult to make out a face, but I knew from her voice that it was the captain. I was grateful for the darkness that obscured my disheveled appearance and the tangled mess of blankets strewn across my bed. It certainly would have fallen far short of Captain exacting standards. What time is it?
0430 hours. I'm sorry for the
4:30 in the
intrusion,
morning?
but I must speak with you away from the prying eyes of the other crew members.
What about?
Skipped dinner last night. Is it safe to assume you were together?
Yes.
What did they want?
Not that it's any of your business, but they asked to swap information for the Deletion Game.
And did you? Swap information?
Yes. That's not of your concern.
Even so, I just want you to be careful. I may not know you very well, but you should be aware that they probably aren't being completely honest with you.
What have they got to gain by lying?
The Vogels are not to be trusted.
I'll decide that for myself.
Very well. But if you do decide to trust them, then you should be on your guard. You wouldn't want to wind up dead because you trusted the wrong person.
If they lie about their numbers, then when we team up, we don't make 10, and we all die. So, there's no reason for them to lie.
I must go. If you need to speak with me again, ensure that it's after hours. I'll tell I to make my quarters available to you, should you wish to visit.
Thank you.
Now go back to sleep. You still have a few hours before breakfast.
Before I could blink, the captain had disappeared from my room, leaving me alone with my thoughts once more. Oh sure, sleep, she says. How could I possibly sleep knowing that the Vogel's offer might be nothing more than an elaborate ruse? I thought I was all set, that everything would be fine now that I had other people to work with. How hopelessly naive of me. After a few hours of restless sleep and some horrible dreams involving chewing on my own teeth and insects crawling out of my ears, I was finally close enough to breakfast for me to get out of bed. The day held nothing but anxiety for me now. Today was the last day before the deletion game actually took place. For all I knew, I could be the one fated to die tomorrow. I walked down the corridors of the ship, gazing at the stars through the windows as I made my way to the dining hall, checking the map on my personal tablet every now and then to ensure I was on the right path. Suddenly a pair of hands seized me from behind, grabbed me around the waist and hauled me backwards into an unknown room. As soon as I was released, I spun around frantically to face my attacker. A man and a young woman stood before me, enigmatic smiles painted on their faces. Standing there with their hands on their backpack straps, the girl with vivid blue hair seemed particularly proud of her handiwork. None of this seemed quite as pressing as the gleaming knife the man held in his hand. He took a few steps towards me.
I see our guest has arrived at last.
Oh, you're the guy who made the garden. Cool. What do you want from me? The man advanced closer. I shrank back in fear as he flipped and caught the knife with a practiced hand. After a few tense moments, he offered me the knife handle.
Care to do the honors?
I'm sorry, what?
Katashi made lemon tart.
Yes!
Tarte au citron, actually.
They're the same thing.
I usually don't encourage the crew to eat sweets before breakfast, but I think we can make an exception on this particular occasion. Please, sit.
Katashi pulled out a chair at the nearby table and gestured for me to sit down. Once I'd taken my seat, Katashi carefully slid the plate of lemon tart toward me. The pastry was lovingly golden brown, and the lemon custard center had a gentle wobble to it. I gingerly cut 3 small pieces before handing the knife back to him. God damn it, now I'm hungry.
You don't want more? Katashi's a really good cook, you know.
I want lemon tart.
That's plenty big enough. You wouldn't want to spoil your appetite before breakfast, would you?
Is it meat for breakfast again? Katashi quickly plated the pieces and handed out forks with an air of an accomplished chef. Fork in hand, Shizuka began to scarf hers down with great enthusiasm.
I thought that something sweet might help soften the blow of our little kidnapping here.
It worked. Certainly helps. I'm Jordan, by the way.
The name's Katashi Ikari. I'm the Everett's agricultural engineer.
Hello, my name's Shizuka.
I'm sorry? The young woman had her mouth full of lemon tart and seemed preoccupied with trying to steal Katashi's portion off his plate while he was distracted. Katashi deflected Shizuka's sneak attack without missing a beat.
This hot mess is Shizuka Himura, the linguistics officer, but she also handles navigation duties from time to time. We understand that you've been forced to participate in this round of the Deletion Game, so we wanted to propose an alliance of sorts.
We want to win this game, but to do that, we need allies.
What do you got? I'm well aware of that, but what makes you think our numbers are compatible?
That's easy. I already know your number is 5.
How did you know?
Lucky guess.
What? So you really didn't know?
Nope.
Ignore her antics. What we really brought you here to talk about was the game itself. Everyone's so preoccupied with finding a partner that no one's really looking at the bigger picture here. There's a better way to determine the loser. As a group.
What do you have in mind?
There's 10 cards, right? If we all came out and told each other our numbers, we could directly influence the results. 1 would pair up with 9, 2 with 8, 3 with 7, and 4 with 6. Then whoever was left with a 5 would be eliminated, right?
We need to work as a team, the whole damn crew. This game isn't just affecting us. It's affecting the chances of every human being who's relying on us to finish this mission. Shizuka and I think our best option is to vote as a group on who we think contributes the least to the overall mission.
That'd be me, because I just got here.
The person chosen for elimination would be expected to voluntarily trade their card with another player, finishing the round with a 5. With everything out in the open, there'd be no need to backstab each other.
But the person with the 5 card would still die.
Maybe so, but I've already tried working the numbers from every angle. There are no loopholes, no cheats that would allow us to all move on. Trust me, I've looked. The best we can do now is decide as a crew who should be sacrificed.
That's horrifying. That's not... I don't like it.
I hate what this game has turned us into. We all used to be such good friends.
We're going to propose our idea at breakfast this morning, and the more supporters we can get, the better. We know that the captain is willing to support us, Now it's just a matter of convincing everybody else. You don't need to give us your answer now. Just think it over.
I will.
Worst case scenario, if we can't get the crew to agree with us, then we'll team up with you. Katashi has 2 and I have 3.
Isn't that what the Vogels had? 2 and 3? Isn't there only 10 kids? You can't both have 2s and 3s, right? Oh, I see. But Beatrix and Nicholas told me they had 2 and 3 as well. Someone's lying here. And I didn't have a lot of time to figure out who. It's obviously the Vogels.
Alright then. We should start heading over to the dining hall before anyone notices our absence and begins to get suspicious.
I followed behind Katashi and Shizuka in a daze. As we made our way to the dining hall, I still wasn't sure what I was going to do. Once again, I'd found myself lost in thought. On the one hand, Nicholas and Beatrix had told me they combined a total of 5. If they were telling the truth, I'd be safe if I teamed up with them. On the other hand, Shizuka and Katashi claimed they could make 5 with the exact same numbers, throwing doubt on both parties' proposals. And what about the captain's assertion that the Vogels weren't trustworthy? She'd known them much longer than I had. Then again, she might be lying too. You certainly don't. Beatrix certainly doesn't sound like she could be trusted the way she goes on. If I support Katashi and Shizuka's idea to vote on who should be deleted, then there was a chance that they would vote against me, declaring me the least useful crew member. Yeah, but it still seems fairer than, or better than everyone backstabbing each other. And then if you're backstabbing each other, then the most devious and scummy ones are the ones that'll get through. You want to eliminate those as quickly as possible. I'd only just gotten here and they'd been fine for 2 decades without me. There was no way they'd consider me essential personnel. If we voted as a group, however, I could at least make a case for why I shouldn't be killed. I was young, smart, and if given enough time, maybe they would let me stay and prove myself? It would be certainly a lot fairer than leaving it to chance or skill at some stupid party game. I jerked at the unexpected sensation of a hand on my shoulder.
We're here.
I've been staring at the floor, rooted to the spot in front of the dining hall. Right, thanks. Katashi, Shizuka, and I made our way inside. Everyone was already helping themselves to a buffet of muesli, fresh fruit, and porridge. Nice. I grabbed a bowl of banana and muesli with some chilled milk and sat down in one of the empty seats next to Sora.
Good morning. Sleep well.
Fine, thanks. I wasn't really in the mood for pleasantries, so I returned to my muesli. Sora seemed content to leave me to my thoughts. By the table was filled with empty bowls and fruit peels. Amid the idle breakfast chatter, the captain rose to her feet at the head of the table to address the group. A sudden hush fell over the room as all eyes turned toward her.
No doubt many of you are anxious. There's little I can do to put those feelings at ease. All I ask is that you treat each other with respect. As fellow crew members of the Everett, we are the best humanity has to offer, and as such, we must hold ourselves to higher standards. The Deletion Game is brutish, but that doesn't mean that we have to be. Fight fairly, play honorably, and have faith that we will overcome these trials.
Captain, may I speak freely?
Please.
As the captain said, we are the Everett's crew. We must remember that we have a greater purpose here.
To find a new home for humankind.
We have a duty to the human race to see our mission through. And to do that, we need to make sure we have the crew that is best qualified for the job. Shizuka has created a strategy that allows us to vote on the loser of the game.
It's pretty simple, really. First, we discuss and vote on who should be eliminated. Then that person must swap cards with number 5. Everyone else would then pair up with their corresponding numbers to make 10. 1 with 9, 2 with 8, and 4 with 6.
If we agree to this plan, everyone would need to be involved in the discussion, and be willing to sacrifice themselves in the event that they lost the vote. It's certainly not a perfect plan, and at the end of the day, we'd still be sentencing someone to death, regardless of how we arrived at that decision. But it would get the job done.
That's ludicrous. Why would anyone ever choose to cooperate if they lost?
Is this even allowed? Wouldn't Dai protest?
I do not believe that this plan contradicts any of the game's rules. The rules of Make 10 do not prevent disclosure of numbers or coordinated pairings.
I'd rather not. Nicholas and I are doing perfectly fine on our own. Don't think you can drag us into your petty little scheme. We see right through it. You're just trying to expose everyone's numbers so that you can screw them over.
I have to agree with my sister on this one. We'd also be putting ourselves at considerable risk, given the fact that we are the only profession on board that has 2 officers.
Everyone here is important.
It's true.
There's no way I could ever choose between my friends.
So cute. Let's support. It may be the only way to make sure someone important to the mission doesn't get killed.
A person's worth isn't so easily measured.
But someone's gonna die regardless. If that person's skills are vital to the mission, then humanity's hopes die with them. The mission is bigger than any one of us.
The thought is appreciated, Shizuka, but it seems as though the majority of the crew is against the idea. We will continue playing the deletion game as we have been until now. Dismissed.
Damn. I was still exhausted from yesterday's investigation, not to mention the mental strain of not knowing whether I'd live or die tomorrow. Only a few days in, the deletion game had already begun to take its toll. I collapsed on my bed, fully clothed. What the hell was I going to do tomorrow? Could I trust the Vogels to stay true to their word? Would it be safer going with Katashi and Shizuka? There was little I could do but wait for tomorrow. Unless the captain's kind offer this morning suddenly came to mind. I wonder whether I should turn in early to clear my mind for tomorrow, or should I head over to the captain's quarters for a council? Let's go see the captain. If anyone could help me, it was the captain. When she visited me this morning, she had a gentleness about her that I hadn't seen before. For whatever reason, she genuinely seemed to want to keep me safe. It can't do any harm. I swung out of bed, exiting my quarters, and moved quickly down the corridor. I didn't particularly want to be seen visiting the captain at this hour. It might suggest something untoward. Reaching her door, I buzzed her intercom.
Come in.
The captain's room had the same basic layout as mine, but hers looked much more comfortable. It had a distinct lived-in feel, whereas mine still looked sterile. The room of a stranger. The captain was sitting on the sofa, reading something on her digital display. She folded the tablet, shut it in her lap, and I approached and sat down next to her.
I'm glad you came over.
I needed to talk to somebody. I don't know what to do.
This hasn't been an easy situation for any of us. In some ways, you have it the easiest. The person you see die tomorrow hasn't been your friend for a lifetime.
True, but then again, I'll never get a chance to know them all.
It's hard to know which is worse.
Definitely the first one. Your guys' one.
Was there something you wanted to talk about?
Just talk. Anything but the deletion game. It's all anyone has talked about since I've gotten here. Let's talk about something else. Tell me about yourself.
There's nothing to tell.
I'm not asking you to tell me all your secrets, just tell me one little thing. What do you do for fun?
Well, sometimes I... No, you'll laugh.
I won't laugh, tell me.
Promise not to laugh?
If I laugh, I'll only do it on the inside.
Well, I like to knit sometimes.
Okay. Really, that's it? Why would I laugh?
I usually get old lady jokes by the dozen.
I think it's cool.
Katashi spins leftover wool into yarn for me, and I use it to make, well, whatever I want, really. Scarves, ties, gloves, blankets. I find it relaxing. No responsibility, no pressure. Just me and some yarn.
Do you take requests?
I'm sorry?
I don't really have any comfortable clothing. I only have this uniform and a pair of pajamas. It was just a thought.
I have been meaning to try out a pattern for a long-sleeved sweater vest.
If you need someone to model it, I'm happy to volunteer.
We'll see.
If I survive long enough. A pleasant silence fell between us for a minute. Well, I better get going. Thanks for talking with me.
My door is always open.
Good night, Captain.
Good night.
I left the captain's quarters in a daze, arriving back at my room in what seemed like seconds. My body felt like it was on autopilot, moving of its own volition as my mind wandered. Finally reaching my quarters, I slipped into bed and went right to sleep.
Bing bong, bing bong. It's time for all competitors to wake up.
Alright, I'm awake already.
Bing bong, it's time for all competitors to wake up.
How do I turn you off?
Well, if you must know, disassembled computer parts put me right out of the mood. Whips and leather, on the other hand.
That's not what I meant, and you know it. How do I turn the alarm off?
The magic word is banana.
Thank God for that. Banana!
Command accepted. Alarm shutting off.
Di did a poor impression of a robot, bending her arms and moving them up and down in a stilted fashion. Her impression was emphatically concluded by her impression of shutting down, complete with a crooked neck and her left arm swaying at the elbow. Looked like an old-fashioned dance move my father would have pulled off. That is to say, it was a poor show. Are you done?
Good morning.
Aha.
Well, it's that time again, folks. Fighting for your life has never been so much fun. Come join us in the dining hall. The second round of the deletion game is about to begin.
I'll be there in a moment. Now, please leave me alone.
You're pretty grumpy in the morning, you know that? Has anyone ever told you that you're not much of a morning person?
Yes, I already know that. I huffed audibly and then zapped out of the room. I quickly made my way to the dining hall, only to find that everyone else had already assembled. Alright, I know this is a cliffhanger time, but we are going to wrap this one up here, and in the next one, we're going to make our decisions about what we're going to be doing. Obviously, we're going to go with Katashi and Shizuka, because the other two are really untrustworthy, and I don't like them. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.